You all know, because of the pins I handed out a moment ago, of course, that this year's theme is Engage Rotary, Change Lives. I truly believe that after Drew's done, you will do both of those. You will engage Rotary, you'll change lives. Drew's very serious about two aspects of this coming year. And he walks the walk and talks the talk because he's looking to change the vision of Rotary for business improvement and for engaging our families. And that's a very important thing. Take that very seriously because he does. He engages his family in everything we do. He engages his business in Rotary and vice versa. So that's a great thing. I'm excited about it. I'm sure you're going to be excited. Ladies and gentlemen, your District Governor, Drew Kessler.
Thank you all. Well, officially good morning. Well, what Lou didn't tell you is we've been on a road show now for, I don't know, a couple days, and we're going to be together for like the next week. So the whole Lou Drew thing is going to get old probably pretty quick. So I am honored and privileged to stand before you this morning. One of the cool parts of being district governor is I get to go to all 63 clubs. I think this is club number 25. And see what we do on an individual club basis, because it's absolutely amazing what our organization is all about. What I'd like to do this morning is tell you kind of my story, how I got involved in Rotary. I'd like to share with you this year's international theme, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I want to incorporate the theme to our world, and hope that you support my vision and the vision moving forward. So my Rotary career started 12 years ago. I happened to be at the right place at the right time. See, growing up, I didn't have the privilege of knowing what Rotary was. There might have been an Interact Club in my high school. I can tell you now there's an Interact Club in my high school. But when I went through, I don't even know if it was there. So outside of seeing a Rotary emblem on the side of the road, I had no context whatsoever what Rotary was, what Rotary did. But it just so happened at the age of 20, I decided to buy my first property, and it happened to be a townhouse right next door to an up-and-coming young attorney who took on the responsibility of becoming a Rotary Club president. And Ron tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Hey, come join me this Thursday for our Rotary luncheon." So of course, naturally, what do I say? What is Rotary? He said, "Well, let's not talk about this. All you need to know is you come this Thursday, I'm going to introduce you to all the movers and shakers of your community." Okay. So selfishly right there, this was a no-brainer. This was an opportunity for me at the age of 20 to potentially meet some esteemed individuals in my area. I'd be a fool if I passed up on this opportunity. So that coming Thursday came, and I held up my end of the bargain. I showed up at that Rotary meeting, and I walked through the door, and Ron held up his end of the bargain, because in front of me, I had a Supreme Court judge. I had the Rockland County DA. I had a county clerk. I had a vice president of the local bank. I had all the movers and shakers. I had what I'd consider the esteemed individuals. But it's what happened at the next moment that will forever have changed my life and will keep me trying to pay it forward for the rest of my Rotary career. See, to me, I take from Rotary a lot more than I'll ever be able to give. And I have a feeling where I'll never be able to pay the debt enough for what happened that Thursday afternoon. Because when I walked in that door, what separates Rotary from what I believe the rest of the world and the rest of organizations is the fact that I was no longer my last name. I was no longer my religion. I was no longer my nationality. And specifically for my case, I was no longer 20. I was just a Rotarian. And I got introduced to Bill and to Bud and to Steve and to Gary, and to me, they were just fellow Rotarians, and I was just Drew. And the beauty of that is that where I believed I had no business sitting across from these gentlemen, they took me in as just a fellow Rotarian. And if there's a single point that I believe separates us from anybody else, is the fact of how we're based on equality. And it doesn't matter what walk of life you are, or where you come from, or who you are, when you walk through that door, you're a Rotarian. And I think that's an amazing thing. Well, they saw something in me that they decided to put me on a leadership track pretty early. They put me right up on the board. Within a couple years, I served as Rotary Club president, which was a pretty amazing opportunity. And to take it further, they pushed me forward to serve as assistant governor. Now, Rockland County is a little bit different than some counties, just based on the fact that the geography of Rockland County is really, really small. Second smallest county in the state, outside of New York. But in Rockland County at that time, we had 14 Rotary clubs. So you could throw a stone and you hit a Rotary club. But when I became AG of Region 9, I got together with the Assistant Governor of Region 8, and we decided to take away that barrier and no longer have two separate regions, where we were going to have one county for the purpose of communication, of doing things together. So I'm happy to tell you, even in today, we no longer have Region 8 and Region 9, we have Region 89. So and it's 13 clubs that we have together. But it was a successful 2 years where that was the mission. The mission was to open up the county so clubs could speak to one another. That we're no longer having events on the same night. We're no longer doing things counterproductive. We're all taking part in what others do. And I think that's very important, that we share our Rotary world with the outside clubs in our surrounding area. So if that wasn't enough, my club saw fit to push me forward again. And as I stand before you, they put me forward as district governor. And this district governor thing isn't just where they nominate you and you get to show up at clubs. It's a pretty long journey. I've been on this now for 3.5 years in training, if you will. And it's not just myself. I've been very fortunate that Rotary is now bringing in the partner of the district governor, that everything I go to, my wife gets to join me as well. And it's very interesting as you move up through the ranks of club leadership and then district leadership to see Rotary in a different aspect. See, when I first came in, I saw Rotary as just my club and what we did. Then I got to see Rotary on a regional level and see what the 13 other clubs did. Then I got to see on the district level what 63 clubs did. And this opportunity has even given me the chance to see what Rotary does on an international level. And it's truly amazing to see, if we were to bubble it up, all the good work that Rotary does. We are, hands down, and you'll hear me say it a couple times, the #1 service organization in the world. And the work that we do is tremendous. And as I go to these different venues and hear about all these great workings in Rotary, the key concept of membership keeps coming up. And it's talked more often than not, the fact that we need to grow our ranks, right? I mean, I could assume that any event that you've ever been to, membership is one of the top topics. So if I was to ask the question right now, and I'm hoping I get some answers, how many Rotarians are internationally in our organization? Does anyone know the answer? How many Rotarians are in our midst? 1.2. 1.2. You hit it 100% on the head. Good job. Are you studying? We'll stick with it. Let's see if you can pass the second question. You open the door. Now, in the year 2000, so 10, 13 years ago, how many members did we have in Rotary International?
1.6.
1.6. 1.4.
I'm guessing.
Okay. You're a little on the high side.
All right.
Anybody else want to take a shot? Jonah?
It was also
1.2 million members
flat.
since the year 2000. So that's interesting, right? I mean, that goes with the whole concept of we need to grow. And here's the big question. I'm going to say anybody other than Lewis and Jonah can answer this question, because my hope is Jonah knows this answer, as serving as past membership chair. Over the past 10 years, or since 2000, can anyone tell me how many Rotarians were brought into this organization internationally? Anyone want to take a stab? You were stabbing before, take a stab now.
Come on, people, guess.
Take a shot.
100,000.
100,000. Okay. We go higher or lower, we'll play prices right.
200,000.
200,000. Do I have any other takers? All right, 200,000, I think that's a pretty sizable number. If we were to take over the past 10, 13 years, we would say 200,000, would we all agree that's pretty sizable? So if I told you Rotary International over the past 10 years has brought in 1 million members, would you be astounded? We brought through 1 million people into our organization. So when I ask the question, do we have a problem bringing in members? I think the answer is no. I think we do a tremendous job bringing people in the front door. But the question that has to be asked is, why have we gone from 1.2 and we've stayed at 1.2? Why are we not at 2 million? What happened? If we were to start with the million that we brought in, well, let's say we take 100, 200,000 off the top for just normal attrition. They move on, they pass on, what have you. Where are the other 800,000 people? Why haven't we gone from 1.2 to 2? I think it's fair to say maybe half of them replaced Rotarians that have left. Maybe the other half came in, went out. But I believe our issue isn't necessarily bringing in members. And let me say, before I go any further, we still need to bring in new members. I don't want anyone to think that that mission needs to stop. That needs to continue. But I think we're doing well at that. What we need to do is we need to keep our members. To me, it's about member retention, how we engage our membership. Back in January, I had the fortune of attending the International Assembly. The International Assembly is convened every year, and Rotary International brings together 537 district governors for the or district governor-elects for the purpose of kind of catching us up on the Rotary world and sharing with us the theme for the coming year. So it's kind of a big week and what's rolled out. And during that week, obviously, they talked about membership and foundation, and it came to the point where they were announcing the theme for the year. And as Lou mentioned before, the theme for this year, which I'm very excited about, is Engage Rotary, Change Lives. But it's very interesting to hear the word engage and how different people have different meanings for it. We were sitting next to a couple from Britain, and when they heard the word engage, they right away thought marriage. That was their context to the word. My context to the word was engagement. And how do we engage our membership? How do we have our membership have the same feeling that I have, where you'll never be able to feel like you're paying it forward enough? See, I'm committed. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm engaged. I'm going to be a Rotarian for the next 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it might be. Because I get it. And while I came in under the premise of networking and having that tremendous opportunity, I stay because of what Rotary has done for me. So how do we engage our membership so they have a similar feeling? That we're not begging them to stay, but that they want to stay. And to me, it's taking it one step further. It's not just engaging the Rotarian, it's engaging a Rotarian's entire support system. See, right now, as we live in a very fast-paced world. And I don't believe we're losing out to other organizations. I don't think people are not joining Rotary because they're joining another service organization. I believe we're losing out to life. I have 4 wonderful children, I have a beautiful wife, I have a full-time job. It's how you make everything fit that you're able to accomplish the things you want in life. See, to me, number 1 is family. That is what I want to make my most time for. Second is work. Without work, I can't feed my family. And third on my priority list is service, is Rotary. And it's how to find a way to bring those other 2 into our Rotary world so I'm not giving up one to serve the other. Is how do I show my employer that there's worth in this organization for them to be able to say, okay, it's okay if you give up 2 hours in the middle of your workday or 2 hours before your workday starts for this organization. How do I show my family that I'm not missing a dinner with them because I'm running off to some board meeting or running off to some Rotary meeting? See, first we talk from the vocational standpoint and from the fact of our employers or those who are self-employed to see the worth in our organization for what it's worth and what it has. I am a very big believer in the concept of networking in Rotary. Because I look at it where if I was going to share personal and professional business, who would I rather give my business to but somebody who shares in similar ideals that I share in? See, Rotary was founded 108 years ago under the premise of networking. It was Paul Harris who got together with his friends. They were going to network and they were going to do right by the community. And over the past 100 years, we kind of got away from that concept. And I will say, and I mentioned it before, we are a service organization. I don't want anyone to be misguided to think that we are a networking organization or a sales organization. We're a service organization that has a tremendous membership base. And why wouldn't you want to see your fellow members succeed? And that's what it's about, and that's what having our employers realize that this isn't just, I shouldn't say just and treat it lightly, a service organization, but it gives you an opportunity to grow yourself both personally and professionally. So the employer should be pushing us out the door for the context of what we're about, as opposed to having us maybe pull back and not be able to take part in Rotary. But it's not just there because it's professional growth. I mean, if you look at leadership and the opportunity to serve, an employer can see our growth opportunity where we're in an organization where if you show a glimmer of thought of you want to get involved in leadership, we put you right on a board, right? If you miss a meeting, we make you president. So, I mean, it's one of these situations where, and if you relate that to a professional life, the training you take here, which doesn't cost anything, but the life experience you build is second to none. And I think our employers need to realize that. So to take it a step further, we're going to be having quarterly business card exchanges on a regional basis. I know Lou was here last week talking about it, and Susan has been kind enough to take this on. And this is an opportunity for our members to get together for a non-financial meeting. We're going to have it at a location. My hope is that it doesn't cost anything to come in the front door. We're not going to be talking about membership. We're not going to be talking about foundation. The whole premise of this meeting is for folks to get together and share what they do. And it's not for just those who are active in the workforce. It's also for those who are no longer in the workforce actively working. Because to me, those I'd rather have there than maybe some people who are active, because that's our mentors. That's our opportunity to get us into places that we might not be able to get into otherwise. So it is for our entire membership base. And keep in mind, it's not an obligation meeting. You don't have to attend. It's optional. So that's from the vocational standpoint, some things we're trying to do. From a family standpoint, how we engage our family to come into Rotary. See, I think it's very, very important that we don't have a constant struggle at home. I think it's a situation where it's truly a shame when you have a Rotarian who has to justify, I need to go to this, and you potentially have a partner at home that might not believe in what we do. I think we need to get our support system, our partners, our kids, our grandkids in our midst to see what we're about. On the district, we're trying a couple different things to enable that. We started off this year with something called a leadership kickoff. We had the leadership kickoff at West Point, because if you're going to have a leadership event, where better to have it than at West Point. We invited the district staff, we invited the president-elects, and what I believed was the most important group we invited the partners to the president-elects. Because it was my belief if I had their buy-in from day one, the next 18 months was going to be a little smoother than if I didn't have their buy-in. Because there's nothing like a Sunday morning or a Monday getting ready for a Tuesday meeting where you're preparing board minutes and you're preparing all these agendas. Because if you ask me, the toughest job in Rotary is actually serving as Rotary Club president. It's not a fun task at times. And to have a partner at home that might not believe in it, I think is a struggle. So I'm happy to tell you we had 30 partners in the room that day. I'm happy to tell you that the reports that I got the following weeks were not only did the partners buy in, they probably bought into what we were selling more than the president-elects. A couple months later, we had a district assembly. Now, district assembly is traditionally held on a Saturday morning from 9 to 1. And I guess one of the perks of being district governor is I get to choose when and where. And my holy days, if you will, are my weekends. That's my opportunity to spend specifically with my family. So I wasn't going to have a traditional Rotary meeting on a Saturday morning from 9 to 1. So we moved it from a Saturday morning to a Tuesday evening. And where we traditionally only had 100 in attendance, we doubled our attendance. We had 200 in attendance. And again, we didn't just invite the Rotarian. We invited the Rotarian's partner. We took it a step further and invited the Rotarian's kids and grandkids. Now, district assembly is free to all Rotarians. I shouldn't say free, it's in your dues, but you're all welcome to attend. But this year we wanted to open up to everybody because we wanted to have everybody come and see what we were all about. And it wasn't just about coming, it was about coming to a pretty different venue. We had it at a place called the Castle. The Castle is in Chester, New York. And if you're a 10-year-old kid, this is one of the coolest places on earth. It's got arcade games, go-karts, mini golf, you name it, it's there. And the thought was, everyone comes, the partners head off with the kids and they go play. Rotarians go to our meeting. We got together for dinner and had a family dinner. Family dinners are very important to me. I can tell you 99% of nights we have a family dinner. My oldest is 11. I can control that now. A couple years from now, it might not be so simplistic, but for now I can do it. So it was important to me that that night we all did dinner as a family. It was what happened next that I thought made the event. Because at the second half of the program, we brought all the kids and the partners in. Lewis was kind enough to set up a shelter box. And we had a contest of how many kids could we fit into the shelter box tent. This is a misnomer, because yesterday I said how many could we fit in the box. And Lewis stopped me to say, you're not getting that many kids in the box. I've tried. So I'm happy to tell you that we had 30 kids in the tent and we still had room. But it wasn't just about having the kids in the tent. It was having the kids engaged in what we were doing. Because right there, they were part of the program. And everything we did thereafter was all about youth. We talked about Youth Exchange. We talked about RILA. We talked about all the great programs that we have, Operation Warm, that are geared to the youth. And the stories I heard for the coming weeks were that kids were in school talking about, I was at the coolest meeting last night. I was at a Rotary event. Did you ever think we'd hear that kids were running around talking about how cool it was to go to a Rotary event? But I had their buy-in, and I believe they were engaged. To take it a step further, we're going to be having something called shelter box sleepouts this year. Lewis and Larry have been kind enough to loan clubs and regions their shelter boxes and tents for the thought of getting together for a night of visibility for the cause, maybe as a fundraiser, but more than anything, for families to just have a place to go and something to do, that we could bring our partners and our families into Rotary. On October 12th, we were having something called a President's Prom. That's the first time we've ever done anything like this in the district. And this is a night to recognize our presidents. This is not to talk about foundation, this is not to talk about membership. This is so, as a district, we can get together, and share fellowship. Whether you went to prom 10 years ago or 50 years ago, this is going to be the same corny prom. We're asking that you wear your tux. We are going to have the balloon archway. We're going to take your photo. It's going to be the same corny prom. We're going to have fun. And to me, that's what Rotary is all about. And then we're going to finish this year, and you all have the literature, which what I believe to be the coolest district conference in the history of district conferences. Now, by a show of hands, who's been to district conference before? I know Jonah has. I know Luke. Okay, we have some takers. Well, my hope is next year, when Penny comes, our district governor-elect, and I hope she asks the question, how many came to district conference? A lot more of you raise your hands. For this club, it's actually not too far. We're having them in the Lake George region, so travel isn't a good excuse. But what we're going to do a little bit different is we're going to be running 3 simultaneous programs. See, traditionally at district conference, you have one program. Obvious, we have our Rotary program. And if you're a partner of a Rotarian coming to our district conference, you have 2 options. Option 1 is to go into our meetings. Option 2 is you stay by yourself. This year, we're going to be running 3 programs. We're going to have the Rotarian program. We're going to have the Partners program. My wife is taking care of that agenda, and we're going to have a program, if the partners would like, geared specifically to them. And what I'm most excited about is we're going to have Camp Rotary. And Camp Rotary is for where you bring your kids and bring your grandkids, where we're going to have professional supervision for them, so that this way, when we're in meetings, they have a place to go. And when we have our dinners and we have our things together, we have a family weekend. And it's not just that we're going off to district conference and we're leaving our partners or our kids or our grandkids behind. We're taking a weekend where we get to engage them and spend the whole weekend with them. Where we start out early on a Friday and we go till the end of Sunday, that I hope it's something that you support and that you believe in. Because I believe if we get their engagement, it keeps us in. Because I will tell you, and we talked when I first started, how do we retain our members? If you have a support system that's pushing a member into our organization, it's going to be a lot harder for a member to say, you know what, I'm not going to make the meeting next week. Because they have everybody rooting for them and supporting them. So with that, I leave you with engage Rotary, change lives. And what I've asked the district to do is to actually have a district theme, because I believe we need to engage change, and if we do, Rotary lives. So with that, I thank you very much.
We have a gift for you, a paperweight with Rotary,
Okay,
a pen to sign all those checks,
okay,
and our banner.
very cool.
And welcome, we really appreciated this, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody?
Before I step off, I know I've talked a lot, but can I make a couple presentations?
Oh,
Is that okay?
we're always open for
I know I'm 2 minutes over time, so my apologies. First, I'd like to present you with the theme banner for the year, and that's
Thank
Engage
you.
Rotary, Change Lives.
Thank
Hope you
you.
hang it with pride.
We will.
Next, I have what I believe is a fun presentation. Can anybody see what's on my lapel?
What lapel? Okay.
I am wearing the world's smallest rotary pin. Now you might ask, Drew, why do you wear the world's smallest rotary pin?
Drew, why do you wear the smallest rotary pin?
I will tell you why I wear the world's smallest rotary pin. This pin is so small that people can't make out what it is. So when they can't figure out what it is, what do? They ask. They say, hey Drew, what is it? And what do I get to do? I get to spend 60 seconds talking about how wonderful our organization is. So Nikki, I'm going to ask that you wear the world's second smallest rotary pin
I don't usually do things in seconds with me.
in
but
hopes
I'll
that people
accept-
come to you and say, hey Nikki, what is it? And you could share with them how wonderful
I
our
really
organization is.
appreciate it, and I will definitely wear it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I have one more. This is like my bag of tricks.
I like that.
And then I promise I'm done.
Ooh.
So you're more than welcome to stay up here, but this is for Jonah.
All right.
So the Red Hook Club, in my belief, is very fortunate to have this member in your midst. Jonah does a tremendous job, I know on the local and the club level, but on the district level and internationally, he's renowned. Because no matter where I go on the international level, we were in Vancouver, we were in Portugal, people always talk about Red Hook Rotary. And it's really gotten out there, and it's tremendous what you and Sarah and Betty have done with that, and kudos to you. And with that, and I see you're wearing an old Rotary theme tie.
I'm an old Rotarian, that's why.
I'd like to get you a little more current
Okay.
and offer you this year's Rotary theme tie.
It's
Well-
subtle, Jonah.
Drew, I want to thank you very much, and I promise the next time we record the show, I'll wear it. Thank you very much, Jeff.
And thank you all very much.